I began my career as a teacher in El Paso, Texas in 2012 and did not attend a teacher certification program before I began teaching. I was completely lost when I entered the classroom, unprepared for what was in store. I attended training for gifted and talented GT students, and that is where I learned about special education and 504 plans as well. I received no training at all for the English language learners, and I was unprepared to teach them. I attended a teacher alternative certification program after a semester in the classroom, but I was not required to take any courses for ELLs. I never received any specific training for ELLs, and I would employ some techniques that I learned for special education students. I partnered students with low English proficiency with native Spanish speakers with higher English proficiency. I modified assignments if and when necessary, and I allowed for extra time to complete an assignment or a test or quiz. There were times that I felt these were successful strategies, and other times that I wished for guidance or training. I began teaching at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School in 2012. The population of English language learners has increased significantly at PLD over the past several years, and I decided to pursue an ESL endorsement because I saw the need to help ELLs be successful in school. Currently, I am an English as a Second Language or ESL co-teacher in 2 classes at PLD. I have been trained to scaffold instruction and modify assignments to accommodate ELLs, but many teachers at PLD have ELLs in their classes with no ESL co-teacher. My personal experiences with no training for ELLs and the sympathy for other mainstream teachers with ELLs who have had no training led me to try and answer my research question. How do Paul Laurence Dunbar's mainstream teachers' self-perceived most effective ESL teaching strategies meet student learning needs as defined by World-Class Instructional Design and Assessment, or WIDA, and Access? WIDA uses numerous approaches and theories in order to define language use in school settings. This is academic language, the language that English language learners must attain and negotiate to participate successfully in school, and are used in most states to inform the pedagogies of teachers of ELLs. The WIDA standards will be the yardstick by which I will measure the perceived effectiveness of ESL strategies implemented by mainstream teachers at PLD. In addition, all English learners are assessed annually with the WIDA Access Test, checking for sufficient growth in English language acquisition. There are 4 key themes that I noticed during my research. The attitudes regarding inclusion of ELLs into mainstream classrooms range from negative to positive, with most being more neutral to positive. Though teachers may be willing to accommodate ELLs, they may not have received sufficient training to create a truly welcoming environment. Teachers' struggles about finding and implementing appropriate modifications are evident in the research because teachers are concerned about modifying content for ELLs when they need to have the knowledge to be successful on mandated assessments. This may have an effect on mainstream teachers' attitudes about inclusion of ELLs in mainstream classrooms. Although well-intentioned, many teachers view the ESL teacher as the accommodation for content area instruction, and ELLs are sent out of the classroom and away from instruction to seek help from the trained specialists. Many mainstream teachers' misconceptions about second language acquisition lead to negative attitudes and therefore exclusionary practices for ELLs, according to Walker et al. Teachers may view themselves as content teachers, but reserve the language instruction for the ESL teachers due to a lack of training in best practices for ELLs. Reeves' study found that the misconceptions about the amount of time necessary for acquiring second language is vastly different than what teachers believe. Many teachers believe that a second language can be acquired with only 2 years. However, this is incorrect and is actually closer to 7 years. Although many teachers believe that students should be immersed in and use English only, studies have shown that the value of incorporating a student's native language is key. Most classroom teachers have not been properly trained to accommodate bilingual or ELL students. Only 3 states, New York, Arizona, and Florida, require ESL training for all teachers, and no state requires ESL training for recertification. Even the best classroom teachers would benefit from additional professional development in ESL, in part because the strategies that are most useful in teaching native English speakers may not translate well to ESL students. The participants for this study will include 6 teachers from PLD across different disciplines. All interviews and observations will be conducted on the PLD campus. During the semi-structured interviews with each teacher, I will inquire about their certifications, endorsements, years of teaching experience, and any training in ESL strategies. I will use a semi-structured interview script with each teacher to determine the beliefs regarding their perceived successful ESL strategies. By conducting semi-structured interviews, I will be able to ask follow-up questions if or when necessary to clarify or to probe further. I will be using a systematic qualitative study methodology that includes 3 different methods of data collection. This study design will allow me to collect both observational and self-reported data about perceived effective strategies for English language learners in mainstream classrooms. After the data has been collected, field notes, photographic and interview data will be coded via a combination of inductive analysis and a coding scheme. Following Miles, Huberman, and Saldana, I will use first and second cycle inductive coding methods to analyze, categorize, and theme data. This process of coding will be used to generate themes and patterns of perceived effective strategies for English language learners.